Sorry about the delay. It's just got back watching the Sabres game, on TV. We lost in overtime to the Pittsburgh Penguins. So, other than that, a lot of stuff went well, but still not happy with tonight's NHL game. But I am here, folks. But yeah, it's not a good night for Mick, hockey wise. But everything else has gone right, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But tough way to end the night. Sabres blown not one but two leads, losing overtime. At least I got a point out of it. I'll take that but still, that was a frustrating way to end that. They played really good. They started good in the first period, but just I don't know. That penalty was questionable in my opinion. Not to think of a Sabres fan, but that looked pretty weak. Thing is, because it's Malkin. That's the thing. That's what refs will do with Malkin and Crosby. They'll just give him that treatment. But it is what it is. It's early in the season, but it's frustrating because we had it won. The Sabres had the game won, so. Although they did get their win for first win of the season, like this past over the weekend over the defending Stanley Cup champs, I'll take that. But still, I wanted to win tonight. Yes, Bills there indeed. Cooper is officially a Bill. So yeah, Amari Cooper yesterday was traded from the Browns to the Buffalo Bills. So now he's officially a Buffalo Bill. Not only that, but he also had Devontae Adams getting traded to the Jets. So he had two big trades in the NFL yesterday. It was kind of a crazy day in the NFL for sure. But let's recap some of the games from last week from both the college football and the NFL. But let's recap. The Yankees are in the ALCS now. They're already up 2-0 in their ALCS series. They already eliminated Kansas City. Now they already won the first games of the ALCS. That's a good start for the Yankees. Aaron Judge finally hits his playoff home run for this year's postseason. So we finally got going. Of course, the Mets and Dodgers are playing currently right now in the NLCS. That series is currently even. Tonight's game's going. I'm looking at the score right now. Keep you up. It's already 4th in Dodgers. So Dodgers are winning game 3 right now. They're looking good so far. They're already at 4-0 in bottom of 6 right now. On the road, so good. So that's a good start for the LA Dodgers. This one, after losing, this past Monday night. But what a week it was in college football. Like there was a lot of good games. It was probably one of the best slates of the year. They're saying it definitely sure was. I'll tell you that right now. It definitely was. Over this past weekend, there was. Let's recap all the games I picked were on Saturday games. So me and Max end up tying. So we both went 9-3. So it was a really good week for both of us. Let's start with Texas. Made a statement on their big rivals, Oklahoma. They're winning the Red River rivalry. They look pretty down right now. This Texas Longhorns team right now still remain the number 1 team in the nation in the AP poll. That was a really good win over the rivals. So yeah, that was a good one for them. Quinn Ewers, first game back, he didn't great, but he still looked pretty good. No turnovers. Just pretty much made a statement. Oklahoma didn't score a touchdown. They were held out of the end zone. That Texas defense looks pretty tough too. So they looked pretty down. That was a complete win by the end. Ohio State, Oregon pretty much lived up to the hype. That game was, might have one of the best games of the year so far. It lived up. Another one of those top 5 matchups. Lived up to the hype again. Ohio State, Oregon, it was back and forth, but Oregon was the better team in that one. Won by a point. But I wouldn't be surprised these two teams will not meet again. I'll tell you, those teams will meet again in the Big Ten Championship. I wouldn't be surprised there. Oregon had the home field advantage, and they got the W. Iowa State looks pretty good still, too. They're battling back, but just nothing to do. It was a back and forth game. Oregon looked like the better team, but they only won by a point. But it was an instant classic with those two. So I hope those two teams meet in the Big Ten Championship game. I want to see another rematch with those two. Penn State overcame a 14-point deficit to come back and won. Penn State won in overtime. That was another great matchup too. Penn State and USC lived up to the hype too. I know USC is unranked, but man, they're still a good team. And think about it, these two teams. Last 2 times these two met have been instant classics. That Rose Bowl we obviously talked about. But boy, Penn State is 6-0. They survived it. Avoided the upset and still undefeated. And now they moved up to number 3 in the rankings. That is a huge win for them going forward. And Alabama survived a scare. After losing to Vanderbilt, they found a way to beat South Carolina, but barely. South Carolina was a 2-point conversion away from tying this and going to overtime. And also, as a successful second, they had a chance to even win it too. So, That was a wild ending in Tuscaloosa, I believe. I mean, that Alabama South Carolina game. That's what I tell you. SEC is probably so competitive. The most competitive I've seen in the SEC. Even these middle, like mid lower level teams are just in the SEC are just even playing good. They playing so competitive. That's what I like about this year is how competitive this SEC has been this year, and how competitive college football in general is. The talent we're seeing now. Florida and Tennessee, that was another instant classic. It goes to overtime, but Tennessee avoids the upset. So yeah, Tennessee down, and they were down at one point too. They were down, but they came all the way back. Tennessee barely won. Florida played a lot better. But still, oh my God. But Sampson played a hell of a role in that Tennessee win, the running back. Dylan Sampson, 3 touchdown performance on the rushing, with over 100 yards rushing, 27 carries. So he looked pretty good. And Ole Miss LSU, another SEC matchup I put in my picks. That was a down to the wire game. LSU beats Ole Miss in overtime. Like one play, like on their drive. I mean, Ole Miss kicked a field goal on their opening drive. And then all of a sudden, LSU, first play of their possession, they score a touchdown and win it. So another instant classic in the SEC. But then Clemson rolled, which we figured. Wake Forest is not as good. That Clemson team looks scared. They're back to being a top 10 team again. We thought Miami was the team that runs the AC, but Clemson's back in the conversation being a powerhouse in the AC again. So they are 5-1, like overall record, but they're 4-0 in conference play. That was a huge win on the road for them. And Notre Dame, no surprise, blew out Stanford. That was not surprised at all. Stanford's not that good. I wasn't surprised at all. Like back-to-back weeks of Stanford getting drubbed. First, like they get drubbed by Virginia Tech, and then now they get drubbed by Notre Dame, which is a lot worse than that one. It was 49-7 that final that was. Iowa State in a tough environment like Morgantown, West Virginia, they go into Morgantown and win. So they're 6-0 for the first time since 1938. So it's pretty much almost a century since the last time Iowa State started. So that's a historic start for Iowa State. They definitely could be a top 10 in the rankings for sure. That's a really good win for them. Cal and Pitt. It came down the way. It was low scoring, 17-15 win for Pitt, but oh my goodness. Cal, another heartbreaker for them. The Cal Bears came up close to pulling up another upset. But Pitt remains perfect on the year. So, tough one for Cal. They're having a hard time. They're 0-3 in conference play. The thing is, they've been in a lot of close games lately and couldn't find a way to win. But how about the UB Bulls? That was an impressive win by the Bulls. That was. I mean, they beat Toledo, who was in the MAC championship the last 2 years. Been a powerhouse. Came out and just won 30-15. I mean, that was a huge win for the UB Bulls. Give them a lot of credit. They're back. I mean, they're 2-0 in conference play. 2 big ones already for them. So UB could be in the conversation of winning the MAC. Still a lot of games left, but that's a big one for the UB Bulls, no doubt. Of course, Syracuse and NC State, the final one we picked. Syracuse looked pretty good. McCord, over 300 yards passing in. The Quentin Allen, I mean, he looked pretty good, like 91 yards, 1 touchdown. I mean, and they got a receiver, Meeks. He goes like 11 catches, 160 yards, 1 touchdown. So yeah, Syracuse beat NC State. They're really off to a good start since they bring in Kyle McCord in the transfer portal. So that's been a good pickup. So that wraps up like last week's recap. Let's do our picks for this week. Let's start with tomorrow's game, the Thursday night game. Boston College at Virginia Tech. Yes, my Hokies are back after the bye week. So let's see. I mean, Boston College 4-2. This is a huge conference game for both teams. Keep themselves in the mix for first and second place to get in the AC championship game. So, do I like in this one? You know I'm going to pick Virginia Tech, but still, Boston College has been pretty impressive. I'll give them that. They've been playing some really good football this year. The last time BC played, they lost to UVA. Both teams are 1-1 in conference play, so this is a huge one for both of them, especially because it's in Blacksburg. This is a Thursday night game. This is the 37th all-time Thursday night game for Virginia Tech on the 30th anniversary of being on there. So, yeah, Virginia Tech's known to be on Thursday football a lot. Like for college football, they have the most Thursday night games. So yeah, that's a huge one for the Hokies. So I got Virginia Tech in this one. Now for the Friday night AC matchup, this is 7 o'clock game on ESPN2. It is Florida State 1-5 against 5-1 Duke. It's the kind of mismatch. Of course, Florida State has never lost to Duke in football. They are 22-0 all time against Duke in football. This is football rivalry all time series. So could the streak end? I'd say the answer is yes. Duke looks pretty good because they got Malik Murphy, who is a Texas transfer. Why I think that, not just saying because I want to see that, but I just think, Florida State's having just a bad year. And Duke is due to finally beat Florida State in football. I mean, seriously. It could be the first time in school history could that happen. I know it's crazy field storming against beating a 1-win team, but that's a huge deal for Duke football. I mean, for sure. That's a huge deal. Finally beating Florida State. So that'll be a huge deal in that one. So I got the Blue Devils in this one. Now, she also got a Friday night Fox game. Back to one of those traditional Fox games on Friday nights. It'll be Oregon, number 2 in the nation. Oregon will be facing at Purdue, 1-5 Purdue. So this is a mismatch, big mismatch for sure in this one. So there's not much to talk about. Oregon's going to roll. Purdue is terrible every year. So I got to go with the Oregon Ducks in this one. It's not going to be even close. It's going to be pretty bad. I wouldn't be surprised at all if that happens. So I got Oregon in this one. Big. Now let's move on to Saturday teams. Big noon Saturday on Fox is Nebraska taking on Indiana. We're ranked and undefeated, number 18 Indiana. 6-0. I mean, Indiana's one of those surprise teams in college football right now. Yeah, they're one of those surprise teams right now. Been just blowing out teams this team's good. Nebraska's surprisingly, they're 5-1, so now they're number 16 this week. Indiana's still ranked, but I gotta go with Indiana. They're still ranked undefeated. I don't know why. This Indiana team just looks pretty good. I got the Hoosiers staying unbeaten and beating Nebraska. Next, you got Clemson hosting UVA. This will be a noon game on the ACC network. So, of course, Clemson is top 10, number 10 in the nation right now. And this could be an easy one. I mean, UVA is playing better, but I got to go with Clemson. They're just, especially because this game's in Death Valley. This is in Clemson, so they're going to roll. I wouldn't be surprised if they blow them out here. Especially by the time the halftime hits. I wouldn't be surprised that game will be a blowout. Louisville and Miami. So, Miami still undefeated. They're number 6 in the nation, so they're up against a good Louisville team. 4-2. I mean, no, Louisville's 4-2, but they were a AC runner-up last year in the AC championship game. So I don't know. Miami's been getting lucky lately, so I think Louisville needs to win this game. So I got to go with Louisville if they want to stay in the championship conversation. So I got this one as an upset. I don't know. I just feel like Miami's been getting so lucky. They're not gonna get third time's a charm not to get lucky again. So third time's a charm. Louisville is gonna. Finally, Miami's gonna go down. I'm telling you, cards. It's not gonna be close. Cam Ward is gonna get exposed. The hype train's gonna be going downhill. No, give me the Cardinals. Next is probably one of the biggest games in this college football slate for this week. Number 7 Alabama at number 11 Tennessee. This is a 3:30 game on ABC. Of course, they'll be immediately following the Louisville-Miami game. Of course, Louisville-Miami will be on ABC at noon. But yeah, it's supposed to be immediately following that. I mean, Tennessee and Alabama both avoid upsets, even though they got ups. They both suffered upset losses to Arkansas and Vanderbilt. Now, both survived, eked out a win last week. It's a big one. I don't know. I like Tennessee in this one because of home field advantage, and also, I don't know. I just have a feeling Tennessee's going to beat Alabama, just like they did a couple years ago. So, give me the Vols in this one. It'll be another high-scoring game like it was when Hendon Hooker was playing for Tennessee. So, give me the Vols. Next, you get the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. This will be 3:30 on ABC against Georgia Tech. This will be technically a neutral site game. It's still in Atlanta, but it's the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, home of the Falcons, so NFL Stadium. So, there'll be a lot of Notre Dame fans. There'll be a lot of Georgia Tech fans. It's definitely a home field advantage for Georgia Tech, no doubt, but I got to go with the Irish still. Much Georgia Tech been a good football team this year, but I got to go with the Irish still. They look pretty good. They still look good. They got a good quarterback. They got Riley Leonard. They're still a good team, but that could be an upset alert, but I like the Irish still. So give me the Notre Dame. Next, you got a 3:30 game on CBS. This is the only game on that channel this week. It'll be a matchup between Illinois and Michigan. So number 24 Michigan against number 22 Illinois. How is Michigan still ranked? That's what I'm wondering. I don't know why they're still ranked. But hey, Army and Navy at least are jumped from the rankings. Thank goodness for once. Both undefeated as well. But yeah, but I always go with the Illini. Illinois looked pretty good. They beat Nebraska the one game. I don't know. And they gave Penn State a close game. That's their only loss was to Penn State. So I like Illinois in this one. I don't know why. As much as I like to take Michigan, but yeah, I like Illinois. For some reason. That's how I feel in this one. I got to go with Illinois. Now here comes a nightcap of the college football games. This is 7 o'clock on ESPN. This is in Arkansas. It's LSU in a tough road test. Number 8, back to top 10. They're against Arkansas. Our last time Arkansas had a home game, they beat Tennessee. When Tennessee was number 4 at the time. I mean, as much as I want to go with Arkansas on the upset, but LSU proved something last week. They proved me wrong. They found a way to beat Ole Miss. Of course, they had home field advantage, but still, that was a good win for them. I think they got momentum for sure. So I gotta go with the Tigers in this one. LSU win this one. But here's the biggest game. One of the biggest games of the season they're talking about, like Texas and Georgia. That's gonna be a really one for the ages too, like just like the Alabama one. This is a Saturday night game, 7:30 on ABC. Texas still number 1. Of course, Georgia number 5. Their only loss was to Alabama. This sets up perfect. That's where College Game Day will be at. This will be in Austin. So, oh god, this one I've had really trouble picking this week. Because if I pick Georgia, the thing is, I gotta go with Texas. I think they're for real, just like last year. I think they'll beat Georgia and pretty much put themselves in the conversation to pretty much put themselves in the SEC championship game. So I gotta go with Texas. They got the home field advantage, and just there's more experience. Georgia's pretty experienced too, but I gotta go with Texas. I don't know what they look like. Probably one of the most dominant teams right now in college football right now. So I gotta go with the Longhorns. Of course, to wrap it up, it'll be 7:30 Big Ten Network, Big Ten game on the NBC. It'll be Iowa and Michigan State, both teams looking to desperate for a win. Here's the thing. Michigan State's had a tough stretch lately. Losing back-to-back games. They've lost back-to-back games to probably 2 really good teams, Michigan State and Oregon. So I got to go Sparty in this one. I got to go Michigan State this one. I think they're due for a win. They lost 3 in a row. They're going to get back in the win column this week. They're going to beat the Hawkeyes. So give me the Michigan State Spartans in a close one. Those are my college picks. Let's recap last week's NFL games. We had some interesting ones. I finished +9. I've had a good week in MSP. 49ers covered for me, which I figured they were to beat Seattle. But yeah, 49ers got back to themselves. It felt like put up 36 points. They won by double digits, so they got back to themselves for sure. And of course, this one I kind of was stunned a bit. Bears dominated the Jaguars in London because Jaguars usually has home field advantage when they play in London. Caleb Williams probably played the best game of his career right now, I'd say. He looked phenomenal. He couldn't be stopped, I feel like. So yeah, it was a tough break for the Jaguars. And the Commanders, they lost by touchdown, but they hung in there with the Ravens. The Ravens show they're still the better team. But still, this Commanders team, they're definitely a playoff team. They look like they're hanging in there. They battled one of the best, probably battled one of the teams that was pretty much in the Final Four of the playoffs last year. Yeah, Ravens came out with a win. This one, I was not surprised. I was not surprised to be a blowout. The Packers dominated the Cardinals. It wasn't even close. Cardinals just got their ass handed to them. Jordan Love, probably one of the best games he's played all year. Easily. I thought last week was good, but man, he really he looked probably the best he's looked all year. Against Arizona, without a doubt. That wasn't even close. They rolled easily. And of course, Texans pretty much rolled easy. I knew it because the Texans were playing the Patriots. That was an easy pick for me, spread-wise. They looked, it's New England. They're terrible. And the Saints dropping a 50 burger on the Saints in New Orleans, spoiling Spencer Rattler's first NFL start. Bucks look. That Bucks offense looks. Oh yeah, how about Jaden Reed? He's shown to be one of the best in the league this year, receiving wise. He really is. He's up there for sure in that conversation. One of the best receivers in the league this year. No doubt, Jaden Reed looked pretty good last week for the Packers. He's looked good all year. He's one of their best offensive players in the Packers all year. Yes, Jordan Love is up there too, but God, Jaden Reed. No one's talking about him as much. How good he's been all year. And the Bucks dropped 50. Of course, I wasn't surprised in that one. I took the points because I knew the Eagles weren't going to cover the 8.5 point spread. both teams look bad. I mean, the Browns going downhill. They're 1-5, and then all of a sudden they lose Amari Cooper because he gets traded to the Bills a few days after the loss to the Eagles. So it's been a bad week for the Browns. Only start 1-5, and now they lose their top receiver to a trade. And the Colts pretty much covered. It moves up back and forth the AFC South battle. But the Colts prevailed. Joe Flacco looked pretty good like he's been doing. And the Broncos winning streak came to an end. The Chargers found a way to win. Justin Herbert. That Chargers team still put themselves in the playoff conversation still. Look at the same old Chargers fans team, but still, as long as he can stay healthy, I think the Chargers will be a good team this year. And my pick of the week prevailed. The Steelers covered over the Raiders. It wasn't even close. It just gone bad to worse for the Raiders. Not only they got destroyed, they lose Devontae Adams to a trade as well. So the Raiders are pretty much on a rebuild mode at this point. They know they lost their top receiver. And Devontae Adams won out anyway. So they're a hot mess, the Raiders are. So I knew that was going to be a blowout. The Steelers were in. The Falcons rolled. Or the Panthers. Kirk Cochain, or they call him Kirk Cousins, man. He's looked pretty good since joining the Atlanta Falcons. He's definitely been the guy for Atlanta. They're having a really good season. And boy, talk about embarrassment. The Cowboys getting just absolutely just shit on by the Detroit Lions. 47-9. Probably the worst loss in the Jerry Jones era as the owner, That was the worst loss ever in his career. 38-point loss. That is embarrassing. I loved every minute of it, seeing America's team just go down the drain. But also, Lions had a injury scare. With Aiden Hutchinson. My thoughts and prayers go out to him, That's a tough break. Now the Lions put him on IR. That was a scary injury. But a good win overall for the Lions. Just winning in a Jerry World is pretty much putting up that dominant performance. And that Bengals-Giants game was pretty ugly. I won that pick because they covered, but oh my God, it wasn't that much points in that game. And how about my Bills beating the Jets? And Rodgers may have thrown the Hail Mary. Don't get me wrong. Rodgers looked pretty better than I was, but still, he's the only quarterback that turned the ball over that night. That was kind of the difference maker. Even though there's a lot of bad referee calls on both sides. It was just weird. It was one of those games, like one of those crazy games, and both teams kind of looked shit sometimes. But the Bills came out and on top with the W and still in control of the AFC East, as they should. A huge Monday night win. Found a way to beat the Jets. I'm fine with that. Wasn't pretty, but they got to fix some mistakes. But they got Amari Cooper supposedly making his debut this Sunday, though, which we'll get into right now. This week's NFL picks for Week 7. Let's start with tomorrow's Thursday night game. The Saints and the Broncos. This is kind of questionable. Oh my God, not that really kind of a mid kind of game. This kind of is. Broncos just came off their first loss in a while. The Saints haven't won a game since beating Dallas, and the Saints have started out 2-0, they lost 4 straight. And they're still without Derek Carr. The spread is 1.5 favored by the Broncos. Do I take it? The Broncos have been playing really good, but the thing is, Sean Payton makes a return to New Orleans. This is kind of a personal game for him, but it's also a personal game for the New Orleans Saints fans. So I got to go with the Saints. I don't know why. Spencer Rattler has a better game. I just don't know why. I think the Saints are due for a win. I think, and all that, they also want to beat their old coach, and Sean Payton. So I think the Broncos won't cover, but the Saints will win outright. So I gave me the New Orleans. Next, the last of the 3 consecutive London games. Another London game. 9:30 in the morning on NFL Network. It is the New England Patriots at the Jacksonville Jaguars. The spread is 5.5 favored by the Jaguars. You guys are going to think I'm crazy, but I'm putting the Jaguars my pick of the week. Thing is, it's because they're playing New England. If they were playing another team, I would stay away from that as my pick of the week. I got to go with that because New England's terrible. I think they both suck, but the Jaguars, I think they're going to look better than the Patriots, let's be honest there. And the Jaguars, they're playing back-to-back weeks in London, so they're getting comfortable with it. So I think they'll win this one. I think they'll cover it, and they'll at least beat New England by at least a touchdown. That's my pick of the week. So, yeah, both 1-5 teams. It's weird for me picking a London game and a toilet bowl as my pick of the week, but I'll take it, though. Next, Seattle Seahawks at the Atlanta Falcons. This is a 1 o'clock slate here. This is a really good matchup. Seattle has started out 3-0, lost their last 3 straight. Falcons are on a good roll right now. The spread is 2.5 favored by the Falcons. This one's a tough one. It's kind of an iffy one. But I think Falcons may win by 1 point at least, but I think I'm taking the points. I think Seattle might win outright. I think Seattle's due for a win. But at the same time, Atlanta, I can't sleep on this Atlanta team, but at the same time, Seattle is due for a win. They haven't won a game in a while, so I think I'll give them that. They'll win that one. Let's talk about Buffalo Bills. They are favored by 8.5 against the Tennessee Titans. A 1-4 Tennessee Titans team. This is at home. This could be the Amari Cooper debut game as a Buffalo Bill. But of course, Titans are on a train wreck. Will Levis having such an interesting season, like turnover in every game, like leading the NFL in turnovers this season, pretty much. I think he's up there for sure. I mean, unless Mason Rudolph's there, but oh my god, that Titans team's a dumpster fire. So I'm definitely taking the Bills to cover. It's not gonna be close, especially because it's in Buffalo. So I expect the Bills to dominate like they've been doing in the first 3 weeks of the season. I expect a blowout. So give me the Bills by a lot. Next, Cincinnati Bengals at the Cleveland Browns toilet bowl matchup. And of course, Bengals can't win. They're 2-4, while the Browns 1-5, dead last in the North. This is kind of a toilet bowl game for the AFC North. Bengals trying to get back. Could they finally win back-to-back games? They came so close to doing it against the Ravens. I think this week they will do it. They're going to win again, and the spread's 4.5. They'll cover. I mean, Browns are such a wreck right now. They are such a train wreck right now. They're deserving everything they're getting. I mean, seriously, they're just a bad team. And they're just stuck with Deshaun Cosby. I mean, I know he's Deshaun Watson, but I'm calling Deshaun Cosby because he's a rapist. No Cooper for the Browns. That's right. See, that thing is first game without Amari Cooper, so they are in trouble. Big time. I expect a Joe Burrow clinic. I expect in Cleveland. This one might be one of the best games of the week. The Houston Texans at the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau Field. This quarterback matchup's could be good. The two young stars, C.J. Stroud for the Texans and Jordan Love for the Green Bay Packers. I like this quarterback matchup a lot. Some put them as their Super. This might be a Super Bowl preview. Some think is as a Super Bowl matchup. I think it's gonna be a Super Bowl possibly. These two, I don't know, but they're both pretty good so far. I mean, Texans are 2.5-point underdogs. Packers are the favorites. You know, Texans have been playing good. They've been finding ways to win close games. They blew up the Patriots. They both came out blowout wins. So I expect a shootout, but I like the Texans. I mean, I hate both these teams, but I gotta go with the Texans. I don't know why. I think Texans look like the more depth. I feel like the receiving position and all that. You know, they're without Nico Collins, but I don't know. I think Texans should win this one. They got Joe Mixon's his second game back. You know, that Texans team looks pretty better. Packers, but you never know. The Packers, they're playing better football too. The thing is, it's a tough pick, but I gotta go with Houston this one. In my head, honestly. Next, the Miami Dolphins and the Indianapolis Colts. It's kind of a This is the last week before Tua comes back the week after. So, yeah. Last start for Tyler Huntley because Tua's coming back the week after. Rodgers gave Hamlin his jersey. That's right. That was a special moment. For sure. Well, let's go back to this Miami Dolphins-Colts game. The spread is 3.5, favored by the Colts. I think the Colts won't cover, but I think I got to go with Miami this one. This is kind of a tricky game. I like Miami winning another one. You know, as much as I hate it, but I think they're going to win this one. Barely, though. Next, the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings. The undefeated Vikings facing the Detroit Lions in a pretty much a fight for the division. Vikings, of course, coming off the bye week. And Detroit, meanwhile, coming off a huge win over the Lions. So this is a huge one for the division. I mean, the spread is fair, 2.5 by the Vikings. Usually you'd say take the Vikings. I don't know. I think Detroit's coming off a momentum after a big win over the Cowboys. So I think there's not going to be like a blowout like we saw last week, but I got the Lions by a field goal, and the Vikings will cover anyway. So I got to go with the Lions this one in a close game. Yeah, I agree. The Lions, they might win the division this week. They will. They will still remain NFC North champs. Eagles and the Giants. This is a kind of a shit kind of 1 o'clock game. Kind of who cares kind of game. Eagles are favored by 3.5. Of course, Giants absolutely looked terrible on prime time last week. Only scoring a touchdown. They are still a poverty franchise. Eagles are frauds, but I gotta take the Eagles. They'll cover. But I shouldn't say that. I mean, you never know. The Giants could surprise us. But I will go with the Eagles still, because it's not a big spread like last week's one was. Next, the Raiders at the Rams. Both teams are struggling. Cooper Kupp could be back for the Rams. And the Raiders' first game without Devontae Adams. And it's a trade. It's simple. I'm taking the Rams spread. They're favored by 5.5. They're going to cover. The Raiders are having a hard time. And the Eagles do suck. You're right on that one. But I got to go with the Rams or the Raiders in that one. Commanders and the Panthers. Ugh. A rare 4 o'clock game. This is a 4:05 game. If Commanders are favored by 7.5, they'll cover easily. They're going to roll over Carolina. I expect a lopsided game. I mean, it could be wrong, but still, that'll be a fun one for Jaden Daniels playing a 4 o'clock one at home. So I got to go with Commanders. Here's America's game of the week on Fox. The Super Bowl rematch between the Chiefs and the 49ers. A much anticipated rematch we're waiting to see. The undefeated Chiefs and San Francisco 49ers. 49ers got back on track last week. I think they're going to go back-to-back wins and end the undefeated streak of the Chiefs. I keep saying that. Like, the Chiefs are going to lose one. This 49 looks back to their normal form, I feel like. I mean, Jordan Mason looked pretty good. The receivers look good. Kittle looked good. I mean, Brock Purdy, yeah. I mean, Mahomes is going to have his hands full with that defense. So, it might be a low-scoring game. I feel like a low-scoring game, the 49ers will still cover. So, I got to go with the 49ers. So, now a Sunday Night Football pick this week. It is the New York Jets and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Home at Acrisure Stadium. The Steelers are favored by 1.5, but this could be the Davante Adams debut for the Jets. This could be this game he could return, make his debut, maybe not. Yeah, so the Jets coming off 3 straight losses. I think they'll lose again. They're gonna be 2-5 week. Steelers, I got the Steelers in this one for sure. I mean, Rodgers, he looked pretty good, but he's gonna have a hard time with TJ Watt. Let's be honest there. But it could be a low scoring game because you got the Jets defense who are pretty tough too. But I like Steelers. I don't know why I like them in this one. Because they got home field advantage, and plus Rodgers going to have a hard time with TJ Watt and like Patrick Queen and company. There you go. A Monday Night Doubleheader again. We're back to Monday Night Doubleheaders again. I started the 8:15 game on ESPN and ABC. Baltimore Ravens at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's going to be a good matchup. I mean, Bucs just dropped 50 points on the Saints. They're really feeling good. So are the Ravens feeling good after winning 4 straight after starting 0-2. The Ravens are favored on the road. I might as well take it. I don't know. Baltimore's looking pretty good. It could be due for loss, but I like the Ravens to cover. I don't know. I think they might be the better team in this one, and the better offense in this one. Plus, they have a better defense too. So I gotta go Baltimore. But here's the late one. This will be a late one this week. 9 o'clock. This will be exclusively on ESPN Plus. It is the LA Chargers at the Arizona Cardinals. So a couple West Coast. This is why it's a late game. 9 o'clock. I was like, interesting. Usually I never do that, but for me, they put it finally a 9 o'clock game. So the spread is 2.5 favored by the Chargers. I think they'll cover because the Cardinals are just a wreck this year. They are terrible. Especially the performance they put against Green Bay. Now with Justin Herbert and company and J.K. Dobbins, that offense is going to roll. Sure, so I like the Chargers. And those are your NFL picks. Those are your college picks. Thank you all for tuning in. We will see you next Wednesday. It'll probably be the same time, 10 o'clock next week, because I have kickball. I was supposed to have it tonight, but it got postponed to next week. So it'll be the same time, 10 o'clock, for our Instagram mix, because I'll be playing kickball for my playoffs next week. So thank you all for tuning in. I'll see you all next week.